Viewers like you make this program possible. Support your local PBS station.
The first meal I ever made for myself was breakfast in the form of a bowl of instant grits with crumbled sausage and American cheese on top. It became my Saturday morning ritual. Grit bowl, plop in front of the TV, and watch Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. So for a lot of people, porridge represents the first thing they feed babies, and for me, it kind of represents my first baby steps in the kitchen. Y'all ready for your first instant grits?
Yes!
I'm Vivian, and I'm a chef. The food I cook tells the story of Southern food as I know it. But that story is more complex than I thought.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm on my way. Lord, if you love me, keep me, I pray.
So I set out to find the dishes that bind and define us. Along the way, I saw that when we eat together, we share more than a meal. The American South is my classroom, and the dishes we share will be my roadmap. So I'm getting ready to head to Charleston tomorrow for this event called the Edna Effect. It's a dinner to honor the legacy of Edna Lewis. That's a lot of sausage. So this is what we're gonna do, Ashley. We're going to make the grits in Charleston, and we're gonna stew the run-ups with the sausage longer than professional cooking tells you that you should.
Okay.
We're gonna do it like Miss Edna Lewis would have done it.
Great.
So Ashley, do you know much about Edna Lewis?
I mean, I know she's incredibly influential in the African-American cooking community.
People always ask me who my mentor is. I started reading The Taste of Country Cooking by Edna Lewis.
Cool.
Her book was the first time I'd ever seen things like slow-cooked greens, really humble ingredients, exalted. So it gave me permission to do the same. For that reason, I kind of call her my mentor, even though I never met her. But she's a badass, how about that?
Yeah.
So this sausage is giving up a lot of its flavor to the broth, which is what we want. If you'll start putting those run-ups in here, we're supposed to cook something that is in the spirit of Edna. So I'm making a grit porridge, stewed turnip run-ups with air-dried sausage and a spicy tomato marmalade. Miss Lewis made me see the humble ingredients I grew up eating in a much different way. And one of the most humble things people eat all over the world is porridge. Our porridge in the American South would typically be grits. Just depending on where you come from, your version may be slightly different. It's always some kind of ground up grain that's been cooked with a liquid. It's comforting, it's cheap, it's often the first thing babies eat. The other thing that she does is she points out what's very special about the place that she came from. And for me, this time of year, the most special thing about Eastern North Carolina are turnip run-ups. The turnip plant appears to have died, and at the first sign of spring, it shoots up this run-up that has a floret as well as leaves. To be able to go down to Charleston and cook with a bunch of other chefs and to be able to take something that many of them have probably never seen, which is this run-up, is something that makes me very excited. It's very dorky stuff of the highest degree. Really, until I was in my 30s, I was ashamed of where I came from. Country was not cool, and country food was downright embarrassing. But that shifted in a big way at some point, and Miss Lewis and the way she celebrated the simple country food she grew up eating was a big part of that. So I'm grateful I get to go down to Charleston to honor her. For someone who was so influential, Miss Lewis is really hard to find on the internet. So listening to this rare interview of her feels almost like a secret.
Would you say, what would describe your influence in cooking? Would it be a Southern?
I think you would say Southern. In the beginning, blacks were really the only cooks, and they're the ones that developed the food that they call Southern hospitality. That was done by black men in home kitchens. They were in the hotels, they were in railroad and boarding houses, and they truly produced the only regional cuisine in this country. Blacks developed the menu, and whites written it down. The early recorded history of food was put down by whites, but blacks had a hand in developing, which is really most important.
Let's just start making grits, and then we'll use that rondo to brown the sausage. The other day when we tasted this dish, it didn't have enough texture, so I decided that I would take the sausage out of the casing and cook it really hard, so it's like crunchy almost, and sprinkle it on top of the grit dish. Is that Mashama? Hey! Hi! How are you?
How are you?
I'm a little socially awkward, particularly around other food industry people. I don't know what it is, I just feel out of place and I never know what to say. There are a few exceptions though, and Mashama Bailey is one of those. She's a chef I love spending time with. What do you have to do?
I just have to heat up some lamb in the oven, and I only have an hour to do it. Just saying. I want to be ready.
I want to be ready too. Don't make me, you're making me nervous. Exactly. I think I must have tripped the breaker. Yeah, this breaker flip here. So I guess I tripped the breaker and now there's no power at the party. There's power right here. Well, I broke the power, or as we say in Eastern North Carolina, the current went out. But event planners are even more resourceful than kitchen people, so before I ever had to take the blame, generators came out and the party went on. Yeah, they're good. Hey. Hi. How are you?
How you doing, man? Okay, Vivian should be looking at me as opposed to the camera. What do you get out of cooking with people like this in an event like this?
I live in Eastern North Carolina. It's not a hotbed of like restaurant culture. So anytime I can come to something like this and be in the same room with people like Mashama Bailey, it's an educational and an enjoyable experience. Okay, hot coming through. Hot coming through.
How important is tradition in Southern food and Southern cooking?
I mean, I think tradition is something we kind of cling to, and it helps us frame who we are. But, you know, I think tradition is much like nostalgia in that it can be dangerous. Let me show you what we're gonna do. This is just as much about the greens and the pot liquor as it is the grits, so we're gonna have like equal amounts of that. We're gonna do a sausage shower, a big quenelle of this tomato marmalade. This is the acid and it's the sweetness that's gonna balance the turnips. Okay. So. I know, shocker. Vivian Howard made grits. In my defense, I like to make grits when I cook on the road because they're forgiving, they're hard to mess up, they're comforting, they're filling, and the baseline subtle nature of grits makes them a great foil for more flavorful toppings. They don't compete with the other stuff. Thank you all very much.
I'm not gonna hide that. Unless you want sausage shower, there we go.
So I was going to initially ask about how Edna Lewis's life's work has influenced your own work.
Growing up in a black family, no one cooks better than your relatives, you know? So the people who influenced me were my grandmothers. And I watched chefs on TV, Frugal Gourmet and Julia Child, but I couldn't really relate to them. And so I went and I searched, and there she was. She was just waiting for me to find her. And I think that because of her, I cook how I cook, and I'm inspired to cook, especially in the South.
What Miss Lewis did for me was she let me know that the humble food that I grew up eating was actually very special. Porridge of any kind is kind of the most humble thing a culture has, and every culture has a porridge, and ours was grits. In this part of South Carolina, often it would be like rice grit porridge. So that's why I made what I made.
And thank you.
Whether it's made from rice, corn, oats, sorghum, barley, or buckwheat, pots of porridge sit on stoves the world over. Morning or evening, in homes or restaurants, is one of those things that's always around and at the ready to fill bellies and provide fuel for a day's work. It's inexpensive, carb-loaded, and arguably bland. And like so much peasant food, or frugal food as I like to call it, the subtle nature of porridge supports more exciting ingredients like fruits, nuts, eggs, cheese, bacon, and shrimp. These things add punch to porridge's plain. Everywhere you find it, porridge stands for comfort and the sustenance of home. So today we're in Charleston. I'm with two friends, Cynthia Wong and Michael Solomonov. They're both chefs. Cynthia's the pastry chef at Butcher and Bee, and Mike has a slew of restaurants in Philly. So I've asked them to make a porridge that is an expression of their culture. And Cynthia, what are you making?
I'm making what is called congee or juk.
And it's made from broken rice?
Mm-hmm. Broken rice and water or chicken stock.
And what are you making?
I'm making mamaliga, which is Romanian.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Israel. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then we moved back to Israel when I was 15.
And you grew up in Alabama.
I grew up in Alabama, yeah. I'm from Mobile.
Did they come from China?
My dad did. My mom is Burmese.
And so the congee would have been something that your dad introduced into
Yes,
the house.
absolutely. Growing up, I was just kind of around. And I guess it was kind of around the way that grits are around.
Okay, so you're gonna show me what to do.
I'm gonna put the chicken stock in to boil, and then I'm gonna throw the rice in. And I threw a piece of ham in there.
So Cynthia, how did your mom get to Mobile from Burma?
She and my dad met and married in Burma. And then they just kind of moved around, and then I grew up in Mobile, more or less.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know, Mobile can't be that bad, right?
No, no.
All right.
It is kind of that bad when you're like the only person there who's neither one color or the other. You're your own color, and it's a little bit weird.
So why did your family move back to Israel?
I don't know. I think they were kind of ready to move back. It wasn't super easy. I was like 15, and that's
It's kind of traumatic. It
It is traumatic. The problem was that I was there for 1 year, kicking and screaming, and hated it. And then I went back to the States by myself, and like everything was different. It felt less whole. So what we're gonna do is actually saute some peppers and garlic, and then fry eggs in that and put it right on top. Like making a big pot of this can feed a huge family. In Romania, it's peasant food. It would be passe. And in the New World, it's cool.
Right.
Which I feel like is the thing, like they're holding on to it, they're making it special.
Well, I think for the immigrant experience, you know, your parents were probably very concerned with being American.
Oh my gosh, they're all about assimilation.
The congee is not something you would serve to anyone who came over to your house.
Oh God, no, we made Jell-O. I remember like making Jell-O out of the packet and putting it in the mold and like popping it out. And
As a Chinese, Burmese, American who's married to a big white guy, how do you impart your Chineseness to your children?
It's actually something that we've kind of started talking about because my kids are asking questions about my parents, and they were like, well, where did they grow up? What were their lives like? What did they eat? What did they do? And I realized that I kind of hadn't told them any of that. And, you know, like my parents were so concerned with us assimilating. The cultural side of things, they stopped emphasizing them as much, I think. So, you know, right now at home, we don't really have that cultural thing. It's been lost a little bit.
Hello. This is feta.
That looks great. This is delicious. And I love the feta provides like some acidity
Exactly.
that balances it. So let's talk about your tea eggs.
You soft boil some eggs, crack them with a spoon, and then you get soy sauce and star anise, tangerine peel, what else is in there? Tea. And I forgot that. That's the major component of one of the, hence the name tea eggs. Oh yeah, there we go.
Hello.
What is this?
That is called yo chow, and it's a cruller kind of thing.
It's kind of interesting to me to put something so starchy on top of something so
like
starchy.
a starch on starch crime?
Yeah.
But you know, it was just like a peasant kind of thing to do to fill your stomach up.
It's good.
Oh, thanks.
I'd argue the fried dough makes a big difference in the texture.
The ham in this is really like amazing. I feel like the rice is awesome too. I mean, you said this was Carolina Gold?
I like it.
Awesome.
I'm rolling.
I'm not good on camera.
Should I freshen up my lipstick?
I'll try not to it up.
Okay, so what is a question that you want me to answer?
Oh man, my favorite porridge is Carolina Gold rice middlings with a little bit of butter, salt and pepper, and fried catfish on the top.
I love malto meal. It has like malted barley, brings back all sorts of memories from cold winters in Minnesota.
Oatmeal smothered in caramel sauce.
Steel-cut oats served with brown sugar and cranberries.
Cooked quinoa with sweetened coconut milk and toasted pecans.
I'm a big fan of Medjool dates. Very nutritious. It would keep me going through a whole game of football or a game of rugby.
Upma. Upma is like this broad term for Indian porridge, and it can be any grain. I like it with rice.
Savory oatmeal that has homemade stewed tomatoes with some spinach and fresh garlic. It's the bomb.
Every place on the planet has a grain that's used to make porridge. Where I come from, it's corn ground into grits. But in the low country of South Carolina, it's often rice. In this part of the world, rice is king. It's the grain that launched an economy. Hey, I'm Vivian.
Hey, Vivian, John Laverne. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
All right, our chariot awaits.
Certainly is a nice day for this.
It's beautiful.
Whoa, okay, okay.
By the early 1700s, we had over 100 ships a day coming into port here. Rice is what put Charleston on the map. It made Charleston the wealthiest city. The majority of beautiful homes and plantations and buildings that you see in Charleston, they have a tie-in somewhere with the Carolina Gold rice. Vivian, over to your right here, this is Chalmers Street. This is the longest cobblestone street in town. The cobblestones came over in the bottom of ships' ballast. And there's a great museum down here on the right, it's the Charleston Slave Museum. The building that it's in was one of 5 auction houses used for the purpose of selling enslaved Africans. More slaves were sold here than any other place in America.
Wow.
When the settlers arrived here, this was all new terrain to the British and the French Huguenots, but the enslaved Africans, this is the exact same geography that they had in the west coast of Africa. So when they got here, they were like, yes, rice fields, this is what we could plant here. Enslaved Africans, they should get the credit with making Charleston what it is today. They were the ones out in the field, planting the food, harvesting the food. They were the ones making the menus, ran restaurants, you know, at these plantation homes. They're the ones that took the British influence with the French Huguenots and the Native American and then fused it all together, and it gave us what we know as low country cuisine today.
Only one piece of the Southern rice story lives in Charleston. To try and understand the other parts of it, I need a teacher whose life and work is tied to both rice and its role in the South. BJ Dennis, a chef whose work points hard at his Geechee heritage, is that person. So BJ, you are a chef in Charleston and really are known for carrying on and celebrating the Geechee Gullah culture and tradition. So to be here on this rice plantation, what does that mean for you?
You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, because you see the beauty of it, but you also know the pain behind it. You have to come out here to let the ancestors know that you still recognize them, because you see the greatness that they brought with them, but it was shackled. Many people died in these rice fields. I mean, the Low Country is one of the richest places in the world in the colonial period because of rice.
Because of rice.
And that rice was grown by the knowledge of West Africans. It's never talked about, but they specifically sought out Africans on those coastal regions because they had the knowledge of growing rice, which was science and technology, astronomy, all those things were brought here.
I read that almost 60% of African Americans can trace their heritage to Charleston, essentially. Like they came through the ports of Charleston. Yes. But not all African Americans are Geechee Gullah. How is your culture different?
We were isolated during the colonial period. It was so hot here in the summers that a lot of people of European descent, they would go up to the mountains to get away from the threat of malaria. So that isolation, especially on the Sea Islands.
Like Edisto.
Daufusky, Sapelo, James Island, Johns Island, Kiowa. Having that isolation, we were able to keep a lot of our Africanisms. Some of the language, the foodways, the farming. And you had all these different people from different tribal groups from West Africa coming together to form this beautiful culture.
And that's why you have such a distinct accent?
Yeah, I don't even think my accent ain't even thick like some people.
Oh, yes, it is.
But I mean, some people back home, and you think my accent thick, some people back home, you're like, what? When we talk to each other, sometimes we laugh at each other because we don't even understand what we're saying half the time. We're like, huh, what? Yeah. We kept that language and that tongue. It's a beautiful thing now. And we're still here and we still holding on strong. We're not going anywhere.
Geechee Gullahs descend from enslaved Africans and call the Sea Islands of South Carolina and Georgia home. The Sea Islands are barrier islands and therefore isolated. That's helped the Gullah maintain a well-defined culture and language for more than 150 years. And because Gullah food laid the foundation for low-country cuisine, the Gullah are responsible for a big chapter in American cooking.
Let's go in the rice field.
You know, you move forward, but you can't forget the past, and I think everybody needs to come out here and see the rice fields. I mean, it's beautiful out here, but there's also a story behind it. It's a story of, it can be a painful story, it can be a story that might make you a little angry, but you also have to come to terms to what it was.
People today don't understand when you say, why should I be responsible? But this is what happened. When slavery ended, blacks were 1/3 of the population. 1/3 of the population had nothing, and they did the best they could. It was hard-earned land. Some of it was stolen, too. If you were delinquent, you know, your land could be sold. Blacks, I think, at one point owned 12 million acres. And the last time I heard, it was down to about 5.
As a chef, BJ has made it his mission to shine a light on the cultural and economic contributions his ancestors made to the cuisine we call Southern. Both of us live and work in the South, but because of slavery's legacy, BJ's path to success meets a lot more roadblocks than my own. What are you making?
These are sorghum grits, but you know, we typically now see sorghum as syrup.
Yeah.
Molasses.
Molasses.
And this was brought through the transatlantic slave trade by the enslaved Africans who typically use it as a grain or flour. So when you get the sorghum crushed up like that, you can cook it just like grits.
It's good.
Earthy.
It's earthy, yeah. It has a nice depth of flavor.
I'm gonna serve it today with some local flounder. Just crisp up this fish, dry fry.
It's really interesting to me that these sorghum grits, you know, stuff is expensive now.
Yes.
You know, and in a lot of ways, the preciousness of it makes it something that's not available to the people who brought it to this country.
You know, you have to bring these things back. If you cook somebody some real stone ground grits, the texture might throw them off.
Yeah, I think it would freak some people out.
Because they've been so used to instant grits over the years. Just to give a sense of the different types of varieties of rices and the colors.
It's like multiple shades.
This is the color of what rice should look like. The whole notion of Southern food isn't healthy. We're more than mac and cheese and fried chicken. We bring back the ingredients. We can really bring back what the South tasted like.
So what you put in there with the fish?
A play on okra stew.
It almost acts like the gravy in like the shrimp and grits or the fish and grits. Yeah. You're in such an interesting position, BJ, because you identify as Geechee Gullah. I mean, Charleston is a restaurant city. It's full of restaurants that celebrate your culture, but it's white people.
And I say exploit it in a way where they don't know what they're exploiting.
Right.
You have a lot of chefs who are not from the South in Charleston right now. Anywhere I travel, I want to know the culture of that city. And I think a lot of us don't take the time to do that. I've been blessed to be able to get all crowds.
It's so rare to get both crowds because black people and white people still don't eat together.
Yeah, it's funny, right? But when you come to one of my events, it's a good mix. At the same time, it feels accessible to everybody.
Right. I think that's a big part of it.
A lot of these restaurants don't feel accessible to not just black people, just people in general. Like, they don't know if that's for them, unless they're elitists. Food brings everybody together. And food tells story and tells history that cannot be denied.
This looks really good. That's good, BJ.
You like it?
The okra stew kind of is like acid and also texture. It's just good with the grits.
I think of grits at breakfast time.
In the mid-morning.
I can eat at any time of the day.
I eat porridge at night when I probably shouldn't, when I'm going to bed.
I think is in the winter, on a rainy day, or when there's snow on the ground outside, you're stuck in the house.
The right time to eat porridge is when you feel like I do today. When you're sick, don't have a voice, when you miss your mommy.
Downtown Charleston is the hottest heat map for restaurants that exude Southernness. Places that whisper in tourists with low country classics and deep tradition. But you can count on one hand how many of those restaurants are black owned. So we're at Hannibal's?
Yeah, we're here at Hannibal's institution here in downtown Charleston, our favorite breakfast spot in the city.
So grits are kind of the thing that anchor it all.
Oh yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Vivian.
Vivian Sophia.
Yes.
So Sophia, tell me about yourself.
Yes, I grew up here, so it's the third generation. Like my granddaddy had it. We've been here since 1985.
Oh wow.
The gentrification is changing down here too.
What do you mean by that?
Now I'm being downtown is like more like the hot spot. So our people is like, you know what I'm saying, selling, moving. The demographic is changing.
More of me?
More of you. Right.
People still won't come support because this is one of the few institutions that does what they do in Charleston, particularly with the breakfast.
Yeah, I've never seen shark on a menu here. So can we get some? And liver?
Yeah, you should try the sauteed crab.
Crab and shrimp?
Yes.
Y'all ready?
You know I'm ready.
Okay. So we're gonna try this. This is shrimp and grits. It's a shark and grits.
Oh, wow.
It's the smothered liver. And this BJ's special.
We're gonna eat. Should I put some hot sauce or something on it?
It's a little TT.
Like a little razzle, a little TT.
A what? Is this razzle?
Just a little razzle on it. How much you like?
Just a little TT.
Okay. This is good. So this is crab and shrimp.
Sauteed with onion and bell pepper. So you think about the shark?
So I think the shark, it's meaty, but not strong flavors.
It's not strong flavored.
Here we go. Is it beef liver?
Last time I had liver, it's been, I don't know. No.
I don't like that, but I appreciate it. So how would you describe the food that you serve?
I still would say soul food. In this base, I say just like feeding the soul. Yeah.
I like that. I connect with Sophia. Sophia has twins. I have twins. She's a woman who runs a restaurant, and I can relate to that. And her driving force is to serve food that feeds people's souls. I strive to do the same. Sophia calls her food soul food, and I would never do that. But why not? Tonight, I've asked Dr. Jessica Harris and Tony Tipton Martin and chefs Mashama Bailey, Ricky Moore, and Ashley Ashanti to talk about soul food and what it means to them. We're gonna get started and order some food and everything, but I just wanted to say thank y'all for doing this. I've spent my career studying and cooking Southern food, and we all know of this elephant in the room, and I have a platform, and I'd like to share it. It's for us to talk about what soul food means. I think there's a lot of confusion
about that. Y'all can take it anywhere you want. Is that okay?
Yeah. I
Okay.
have some thoughts to share.
Okay, so what?
Yeah, I think all the black folks are looking at each other like, can we take it where we want to go?
Really?
What is soul food? What do you think the general public thinks?
Fried
soul?
chicken, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, candy yams, cornbread. So now I'm talking about, I can go back further,
little deeper.
pigtails, pig knuckles,
Yeah.
ears, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
As my grandmother would say, how would you cook your ears?
Soul food, to me, it's much broader than that narrow definition. But I like retaining the definition because it defines a period of time, the soul music and the soul dance.
The other part of that is African Americans are the only people, who demonize their own traditional food.
Absolutely.
No one else does.
Right.
And it probably has to do with enslavement.
Right.
I can't eat no catfish, clowns.
It's
I want
muddy.
whatever. It's muddy. That's
Right, that's
nasty
the first thing
fish.
you
You know,
say.
all the people that go, I don't want no dark meat. It's like stupid. I just want a chicken breast.
I want chicken
It's
breast.
like, go for it, you know. And it's that thing that you come up against when you start talking about soul food.
Right.
Because we talk about it.
Right.
We don't always necessarily love it.
Well, I think Ashley's kind of an example of that.
Yeah, you're like stabbing me in the heart right now. I don't particularly have the Southern experience. I guess my dad was kind of part of the flight from the South. He wanted to leave the South and he joined the military. So I think I'm still kind of learning about what Southern food means to me and that connection. I've kind of never really favored things like collard greens or lima beans, I think because I just wasn't used to them. So I didn't have the traditional soul food experience.
I did a carriage tour of downtown by myself, but the tour guide said that enslaved Africans got here and saw the low country and the lowland and determined that this was a place that rice would grow. And then every house that we saw on the carriage tour was like, this guy was a rice shipper, or this guy made his fortune in rice, and this, you know, it was like all of Charleston was built on the rice trade.
On the backs of the people who grew it.
Yes.
But if you've established a economic system that is based on the rape and pillage of another culture, then you don't come back into your record books and then record those expertise that you discovered in those people.
It's not in the newspaper.
It's not in the newspaper. African Americans are a very diverse people, and the idea of narrowly defining us by just one category of dishes has been unfair. We're giving recognition to those people that created these dishes. We want to say, give us credit for having that same knowledge base, and by tracing back to Africa, to be able to see what were those cooking styles and techniques that did transfer here. So I appreciate that you're willing to even begin the conversation.
I mean, I don't know what the alternative is.
It's not just a quick show. It's a long, deeply embedded history, and an embedded history in a country that, for whatever reasons, and we don't have time nor place here to go into them, never gets fully discussed.
I hear you. After that night at Hannibal's, I wanted to talk to Mashama more because our professional paths are kind of parallel. We both worked in New York, we both moved back to the South, we both run high-end kitchens. There are a lot of similarities in our experience, but there are a lot of differences too. So I'm coming to Savannah to see my friend Mashama. Mashama is the chef at a restaurant called The Gray. It's really probably the most beautiful restaurant I've ever seen. It's in an old Greyhound station. I think she's gonna cook some kind of grit dish. We have this ongoing conversation around soul food, Southern food, what both of those things mean. And the other night at Hannibal's, I wanted to talk more about it, but honestly, I was really nervous. So hopefully we can do more of that today.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming
Thank
down.
you. So, can you give me a tour?
Sure.
This is downtown Savannah, correct?
We are in downtown Savannah. When I came down to accept the job, my dad told me that him and my mom got married at that courthouse across the street.
Oh my God.
So I was born in New York, and I remember we lived in an apartment in the Bronx, and then when I was about 5, we moved to Savannah full time.
So you were shaped some in the South?
A little bit, yeah, I think so. I called my mother Mama until I was like 16, you know. I call her Mama. So this is the main entryway here.
This is original, obviously.
And this is original.
That's amazing.
So we've turned this into our diner bars.
And you can drink in here all day?
You can drink in here all day from 11:30
I don't know why I'm asking that question.
And this is where the kitchen is. We opened up the whole kitchen. I really wanted an open kitchen. And now that I have one, I don't know if I really wanted one.
I hate it.
Because you're like, yes, I really want to express what we do, and I want people to see how hard we work. And then you're like, why is that ham on the floor? Sweep up your area. Why are you so messy? This was the main entryway, the information desk. The reason why I was so curious to come down, it was the first bus station in the South to be segregated, and this is where the colored waiting room was. And I was like, what?
This is right here?
So
this
was it. So all that space belonged to white America. And this right here is where colored folks were able to sit and wait for the bus, just this. This was all the space that blacks had in this big old bus station, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Upstairs was the white woman's parlor.
Parlor?
Mm-hmm. And this was where the toilets were the same size as the colored waiting room.
Right.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
It's really cool. This room is the wine room, but it used to be the bunk room where the drivers would sleep.
Wow.
My grandmother passed away, and so when we cleaned out her house, my cousins found this Greyhound Lines first aid kit. And the coolest thing about that is that she was a nurse.
You were meant to come here.
I was meant to come here, right? Yeah, so that to me is like one of the most amazing things in the building. So that is the 50 cents tour.
There's an 8 downstairs at 8 o'clock.
I just think the whole discovering of the foodways in Savannah is unlocked.
Yeah, I don't know anything about, we know about Charleston. Yeah. We associate shrimp and grits with Charleston.
Right, but nothing about Savannah. And it's so similar. Oh, thanks, Trevor. All right, so these are some of the porridges that we use here.
So this looks like traditional corn grits.
And we cook them with cream and butter.
I can see the cream. I can see that.
We only use a little bit of cream.
There's cream.
We only use a little bit of water.
You only use a little bit of grits, is what you use a little bit of.
Yeah, that's very true. So, and then we have the nerve to put a piece of foie gras on top of it.
And what's interesting is that porridge is, I think, the most humble thing you can make. Mm-hmm. And you're pairing it with
the most expensive, overprivileged thing.
Yes, exactly. It's like a marriage of the highest and the lowest.
And these are rice grits. And we just got some first season roast shrimp in.
What would be the porridge of this region?
Grits.
And it would be for breakfast generally.
Definitely. So I didn't put grits on for a long time because we ate grits for breakfast when we grew up. We never ate it for dinner.
So you ate grits in
New York City.
In the Bronx.
In the Bronx, and in Queens, we ate grits for breakfast.
So halibut is off the menu. We're serving the source fish.
In the vineyard on
So it's interesting to me that your mom moved from here to the Bronx, but still carried that with her.
Yeah, because I think that's all she knew how to do.
Did you identify that food as Southern food or soul food?
I think I identified it as food. I think I just identified it as food. And I think as I got older, I identified it as soul food because that was what restaurants would name themselves,
Do you think that's a term, like soul food is a way to take Southern food, which is riddled with strife, and make it your own?
I think so. I think soul food is for Black folks. And I think Southern food is for white folks. In the 60s and 70s, it was really about finding identity. No one wanted to be considered Southern or no one wanted to be labeled as Southern because it just reminded them of just hard times. They wanted to run away from the South, I think. That's how soul food was sort of like, you know, born. It was like a reclaiming of what we thought, of what we ate and how we ate. Ordering in a ribs, too.
Do black people eat in here?
Yes. But not as many as I would like.
Right.
Like, so it's funny because we're sort of right on the tail end of a review. A couple came in here, a black couple came in here. You know, we did not have a stellar service, and they really sort of felt like they were being targeted because they were black. And first of all, that breaks my heart that you would think that I would purposely give you a terrible service because of the color of your skin or your race. And second of all, what compounded your feelings about that is that you were probably one or two of black people dining in here. So you kind of look around, you don't really see anybody who looks like you, and then, you know, you having this terrible experience, of course you're gonna take it personally, right? So that is one of the things that I really wanna combat. As far as diversity with the staff, I'm glad that I have black folks on the line cooking with me because you don't really see that at fine dining restaurants. But I do want to see more service staff, more management staff of color coming in the door and applying for the jobs. I don't think any people who have come in here to be a manager have been black. I don't think not one person.
So what kind of food do you serve here?
I think I serve soul food. I think my food is soulful.
Now I'm headed to Edisto Island because BJ says I cannot leave the Low Country without meeting his mentor and trying her crab gravy over grits. And why would I argue with that? But first, we gotta grab some grits. So we're gonna go in here and grind some stuff.
That's right. Hopefully it's like Walt Disney World to you.
Okay, great. So this is gonna make a yellow grit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, whites are higher in sugar and yellows are higher in oil content. BJ might be able to explain more on the cooking side of it because it doesn't cook the same as a lot of varieties.
It reminds me of couscous.
Oh, really?
In the grits form, because it holds the shape. We're gonna see it at Miss Meg's house.
Oh, she's gonna make it?
Yeah.
So let's grind. This corn is gonna get shuffled down in here, and there's two stones, so when you hear stone ground, they're gonna grind the corn, and it's gonna come out as either corn flour.
Yeah, corn flour, cornmeal, or grits.
This is the most incredible color. I mean, it's almost like cheddar. So where I come from, people would not eat yellow grits. They're like, they think that's for the animals.
Yeah. Here, it's the opposite. You save your white because it's higher in sugar for your moonshine. So you don't want to waste it and eat it when you can make good moonshine. So in return, you got to cook the yellow.
Okay. Grits say a lot about who you are, I guess.
That's right.
It tells a story.
That's right.
Okay, so we've got Miss Meg at a bag too. Is she expecting us?
Yeah, she's waiting on us.
Oh, good.
You better have an appetite.
I'm so excited.
Always a pleasure, bro.
Good to see you.
Yeah, man, good seeing you.
Thank you for coming by the farm.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Emily Meggett isn't just BJ's mentor. She's an icon of Gullah culture. BJ says she cooks the purest form of Low Country cuisine. Mrs. Meggett is a descendant of enslaved Africans, and her family's cabin was recently moved to the Smithsonian. So BJ, where are we?
So we are at Miss Emily Meggett's house, 40-something years. She's cooked for church groups, families. So yeah, she's the matriarch and the cook of the island. So this is such an honor to be here in her kitchen.
This is super cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Vivian.
Hi. Listen. Oh, Ms. Vegas, thank you so much. I hear that you're the matriarch of the island.
You think so?
That's a title now.
I'm the mayor of the island. And when the mayor go away, everything they shut down because I cook and feed the sick people and elderly people. And I said, now, they should be cooking for me because I'm 85.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Well, I'm so honored to be here. I can smell that you've been cooking.
Yes.
Yeah, she actually got
I got some collard
Sunday
greens
dinner
on
going
my
for her.
Sunday dinner going. I got some collard greens and ham. So, and then this is peas.
So you cook on this wood stove?
Oh yes, I'm from the old school.
That's when I come over here, I just let her and give me that knowledge and let her do her thing. So I think we're just gonna cook the grits straight up.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Meg, you rinse off that to rinse the salt off that?
This is some bacon dripping.
Bacon dripping? I know all about that. Miss Meggett, you've lived here your whole life.
All my life.
So what percentage would you say of the people who live on Edisto are Gullah?
James Island and Johns Island, they said the most of the people that live there are Gullah. And the Edisto people, they are the Geechee.
How is that different?
I don't know.
The accents can vary from island to island, but it's all the same.
It varies a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. Like they say us who raised up in the city, we might talk a little faster.
Yeah. The city people, they use more of English than the country people. Now see how to measure.
Are you rinsing them or?
See all that hooks that come out?
You want to, what are you going to do with that? Oh, I see. So Miss Meggett's rinsing the grits and some of the husks.
That's the husks off it.
Rise to the top and they'll never cook. So you want to spoon them off, or if you're as adept as she is, you can pour it off.
Yeah.
So who taught you how to cook?
Miss Brown. She was the head cook. They had two cooks. I cooked for the servant, and she cooked for the Dodgers and those upstairs.
You cooked for the servants?
We had 7 help. I cooked for the help.
I'm about to stick my finger in that frying pan and get a piece of that fat back.
It's like one of the earliest smells of my childhood, just smelling the onions in the pan, the sauteing with a little bit of oil, some bacon fat. It's nostalgic.
You better watch me now, because I'll be working fast with this.
We picked crab yesterday, so some local blue crab.
Oh, wow.
I'm in the flour.
Okay, flour. Seems as if it's moving fast.
Yeah, this ain't her first rodeo. The fat back gives a flavor, and once that crab gets in there, it starts to it's all through there. So.
And those onions, I mean, I can't remember being so excited to eat. So about how many crabs did it take to get that much crab meat?
I think we had 7. You watching me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, when you eat this crab, you're gonna have all crab meat. You're not gonna fall apart.
And you're spooning it over it rather than stirring it in so it doesn't all shred up.
Right. She was saying back in the days when they lived off the land, they would have to pick crab. That was a day job.
Every day.
Like they pick crab, and then from there, that was a meal. How it would be crab gravy, stuffed crab, crab rice.
That's ready. Now this could take a long time to cook.
Oh my, what is that?
Muscadine wine.
Muscadine wine.
You got a little bit of wine we can taste?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Would you like to join me for a little sip?
Miss Meggett, would you like some of your own wine?
You know I make it, but I don't drink.
You don't care for it?
You know, 2 things I wanted to do when I get grown was learn how to drink and smoke, and I never learned to do either one.
Well, that's why you're moving so fast right now. Thank you.
That gravy has to have that bed.
Yes, have to have a bed to sit in.
You tell me about how much, because I'll keep going if...
That's good, that's good.
Okay. This is delicious.
I like the texture of the grits.
So growing up, was being Gullah, is it something you thought about?
No, I never thought about it, but you know, as growing up, they said, oh, you know, those are the Edisto Geechees. So.
And what did that mean to you?
Nothing, because I didn't even could recognize, what it. But even now,
it doesn't mean.
Because if he cut you ain't gonna get no white blood. And if you cut me, you think you get some black blood? No. All of us got the same red blood. No different. We make the difference.
So BJ, what does it mean to you to be Gullah?
Pride, heritage. I mean, you have Harvard University classes on Gullah Geechee, but we need that here in our own city. Making sure people understand our culture and understand how important it is, not to just Southern culture, but American culture. So it's a great thing.
At Hannibal's, Dr. Harris mentioned how the deeply embedded contributions of African Americans to Southern cuisine never gets fully recognized. And she's right. It's not the kind of history we talk about because for many of us, it would require we rewrite a story that's been told for decades. I've lived 40 years without ever really looking at this truth, without understanding or paying respect to the ancestors who, in a lot of ways, laid the foundation for our country's only native cuisine. But in most cases, knowledge is power. So as a Southern storyteller, as a mom, and a cook, I tell a different story now. So we went to Miss Emily Meggetts, and she's like the matriarch of Edisto Island, and she made these grits with crab gravy, which is something I had never had before. Just whisk them in.
Can I do it, Mommy? We usually put cheese into our grits.
I love cheese in my grits. When I was your age, I woke up and made my own grits with sausage and cheese. Here, put some more cheese in there. What about your grits? How are they?
They're good. Yummy.
You spend time working on something and it's eaten and gone. I don't think it's lost. I think if it's good, it'll be remembered. You remember something your mother did or your grandmother.